When you are down into dropshipping and checking out tutorials on YouTube and Facebook, you'll notice in most American folks in the chart that often make us think, hey, if I'm a dropshipper, I gotta aim for the United States. But is America really the dropshipping promised land? In this video, I'm gonna break down all the countries worth considering for getting into dropshipping for real. Some countries are easier to crack into than others, especially if you are just starting out. Plus, I'll talk about what it takes to sell in these places, cause some countries need specific payment setups and stuff like that, which I'll cover right here. Now, if this is your first time checking out my content, remember we are all about dropshipping at USAdrop. We've got everything covered: planning, sourcing, warehousing, you name it. So let's jump into it. Which country are the best picks to start dropshipping? Alright, let's talk about the top 5 countries. We've got the USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. These are the big hitters. They've got the market size. So if you hit good with product here, you are gonna see some serious cash flow. You could be ranking in 50,000 a day, and some even hit 100,000 quote is massive. Plus all these equality, they've got the stuff to spend, and there's a ton of them. So if something clicks in these places, you are in for a wild ride. But here is the flip side. They are competitive as heck. Cost per mile, which is what it costs per 1,000 people to see your ad, are through the roof. Especially in the US, you are looking at around 50 to 20 bucks, sometimes even 30 or more, depending on your niche and all that stuff. So it's priced because you are hitting up the cream of the crop audience-wise. But for newbies, it's like dive into the deep end. Testing in these countries can be a real grind. You might need to throw out a bunch of products, get creative with your ads, and there's more discount to correct the market. But once you strike gold, it's worth it. To sell in these places, you don't need much. Just whip out your credit card, easy as pie. So if you are using Stripe or Shopify payment, you are golden. You can jump into the market without breaking a sweat. Now let's switch gears and talk about what I call European Union dropshipping and some non-English speaking countries. You might be thinking, they don't speak English. Do I really want to deal with translating everything? I don't speak another language, so does that mean I can tap into markets like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, even if I don't know their lingo? That's where the English Proficiency Index comes in. Based on the last year's data, it ranks countries based on how well they handle English. Focus on countries where English is top-notch ensures your ads and site and crystal clear for folks used to English ads and shopping on English sites. So when we are setting up targeted Facebook ads, we can also pick out specific countries and then choose the language. For example, let's say we pick the Netherlands because it's at the top of the list. We can remove the United States and focus on the Netherlands, where we have an audience of 11.2 million. But to make sure we are reaching folks who understand English, we can filter by language and select English. This leaves us with an audience of 6.9 million people. You can say it's filtered out a good chunk to make sure we are only targeting English speakers who get it. Now there are some countries where a lot of folks are seeing success because they are easier to crack into or they are got a market that's ripe for picking. First off, the audience size is smaller, which is actually a good thing. When I say small, I don't mean tiny. We are still talking millions of people. But with a small audience, you are not competing with a ton of other business. Plus, it might be cheaper to advertise there, and the market isn't as crowded because in places like US or the UK, people are used to seeing ads everywhere. But in these other countries, like I mentioned in the bit, they might not have seen those products before, and the folks doing dropshipping there aren't as seasoned as the pros in the top English-speaking countries. So you don't have to be a pro yourself to do well in these places. Of course, you still gotta know your stuff, like how to set up a killer store, find a winning product, and make awesome ads. But the competition isn't as fierce in these no-English-speaking countries. So which countries am I talking about? Let's start with Germany. It's big, there are lots of people, but there's also lots of room for success there. To do business in Germany, you'll definitely need PayPal because most sales, about 60% to 90%, go through PayPal, along with credit card. You could also offer Klarna, but it's not a must-have to do well in Germany. So Germany's solid pick. You can do dropshipping there and scale up nicely. Another country you might want to look into are Australia, since they also speak German, and Sweden's another good one. But here's the thing about Sweden: you need Klarna. Without Klarna, you can't operate there because 90% of sales go through Klarna in Sweden. So if you don't have Klarna, you are gonna struggle to make sales there. You might be wondering, how can I get Klarna then? Well, you can go through the process, try to get Klarna. Sometimes you might need a UK company to help you out. If you are already in Sweden, I think you can get Klarna through Shopify Shopify payment, so that's another option. So there are ways to make it work. Sweden is a great country. Another bonus is that folks in Sweden and other Scandinavian countries have more money to spend, so you can bump up your prices. Whereas in top English-speaking countries like the USA, if you find something and sell it for $30 in Sweden, you might be selling it for $40 because a lot of folks haven't seen that product before, and people there have more disposable income. Denmark is another country worth considering. It's a Scandinavian country, so you can also charge higher price there. It's not as big as some other countries, so when you find something that works, you can spend quite a bit, maybe for a week or two or maybe a month at most. Then you need to reinvest and find new products to test. You don't need much payment processing to get started in Denmark. They accept a credit card, so you can just roll with credit card, no problem. If you've been trying dropshipping but haven't seen much success, it might be because you've been targeting a country that's just too competitive for where you are at in your business journey. You gotta remember, the cost per thousand impressions shows how competitive the audience is. Facebook's like an auction platform. The more people bidding, the higher the price. Similarly, the more people competing for impressions to the same audience, the higher the CPM. So the difference between success and failure might just be switching up your target country without changing anything. Anyway folks, that's it for today's video. I hope I will give you some food for thought, spark some creativity, and got you thinking about new ideas to make your business boom. Before you go, I wanna leave you with a quick message. If you are serious about building a dropshipping business that can change lives and you are ready to put it in the work, click the link. As a trusted order fulfillment company, USAdrop handles the entire dropshipping process, from procurement to quality control, and from order fulfillment to shipping. Plus, we are regularly visit factories in China, carefully select reliable suppliers, and maintain a list of reputable suppliers. By purchasing from suppliers and conducting strict quality inspections, we ensure that each product meets quality standards before shipping to your customers. This saves you time and money, giving you a wider range of products at affordable prices. USAdrop is here to help you run your dropshipping business effectively.